2025. Make it work. Rob Demovsky joining Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning as we continue celebrating a Packers victory yesterday, 23-6 over the Vikings. I know the people who were at the stadium yesterday have been telling us it was a great scene, it was a great game, and it was a great win. Rob, how should fans view the victory over the Vikings when we've talked about the numbers this morning? J.J. McCarthy, one of the worst starters ever, starting out his career as one of the worst to ever be under center. You could still be happy about the Packers and the way that they performed on Sunday, right?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, you can. Did you guys have Wildy on today? Do you have it? Does he
no. Wildy is Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays for us. So we have not talked to Wildy.
Well, good. All right. Good.
Why, are you stealing material? Is that what's going on? Like, what are you worried about?
I am. I'm going to steal his material from our TV show last night on WBAY. We do a little bit of a roundtable. It's for those not in the Green Bay market. It's hosted by Chris Roth on Channel 2. It's Jason, myself, Bill Huber, and Dave Schrader, the sports director from WBAY. And his first topic of conversation on the show was this Jeff Hafley or J.J. McCarthy? You know, which one was more responsible for this? And Wildy he never takes a stand on anything, and he went full J.J. McCarthy on this. So, look, you can feel great about it, but they're not playing J.J. McCarthy next week, this coming week in Detroit. They certainly wouldn't be playing J.J. McCarthy if they played the Rams in the playoffs after what we watched last night. It's a good question, but I do think this was as much J.J. McCarthy's ineptness as it was the Packers. But so what, right? Like, it still counts the same.
Yeah, still a win, and you feel good going into Detroit for that. What did you make of Emmanuel Wilson and the Packers just basically saying, because of J.J. McCarthy, we're taking the air out of the football and we're not going to put Jordan Love and his separated left shoulder at any sort of risk?
Yeah, except the hardest part for him was to hand it off so many times, and he had to do it with his other arm, which was, risky.
The backhand handoff, because it's not a secure way to hand off the ball, Rob.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's like taking a 9-iron and turning it around and trying to hit left-handed out from behind a tree, punch out sideways. But the thing about, and I think I can't remember if I told you this or we talked about this on one of the other shows, Emmanuel Wilson had 502 yards rushing last year. It's not like he had nothing. 502 yards was pretty darn good. It just got lost in the shadow of Josh Jacobs' 1,300-yard, 15-touchdown season. So I guess I'm not totally surprised by this. There were a few things about the running game that surprised me. One, that it was a grinded-out 107 yards or whatever it was. They didn't have a run longer than 13 yards. Wilson did not. But we also saw a change on the offensive line, Gabe, with Anthony Belton. It was a rotation at right guard with Jordan Morgan the first couple of series, and then the rest of the game, it was Anthony Belton all the way. I know they'll say, oh, Jordan Morgan didn't get benched, because they never use that word, but he got benched. And Anthony Belton provides a little bit more physicality in the run game, and at least did last night.
Are they a better team if Belton takes all the snaps when healthy at right guard?
Sure seems like it, I would say. I mean, the Jordan Morgan right guard experiment should be over. They should let him be the backup left tackle for the rest of this year, and then when they don't sign Rasheed Walker, let him compete for the starting left tackle job next year.
We were talking earlier, Rob, speaking of the offensive line, and I was telling Gabe that I was reading online that Pro Football Focus said the Packers only allowed 14 pressures, and Gabe goes, but they only had 21 passes. So how would you assess the pressure, if you will, that Jordan Love was under yesterday?
Yeah, well, I hadn't seen that. That is interesting.
Because again, the way it was structured in the article I was reading was they only allowed 14 pressures, and as Gabe mentioned, in the context of a normal NFL game,
that's a great point.
That would be good. But they only threw the ball 20 plus times.
If you're under pressure 2 out of every 3 times, that quarterback is, I believe, the technical term, running for his life.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I haven't seen that. I don't. That must be behind the Pro Football Focus paywall. I don't have that. I don't have that subscription. But everybody defines pressures a little different, Jen. But that's obviously not ideal. They did so little in the passing game yesterday, other than a few throws to Christian Watson that I guess I didn't really pay that close attention to it. I haven't rewatched the game yet. But I'm not overly concerned about it at this point.
So now when we kind of going forward to this Lions game, how much of an advantage is it for the Packers to have as short of a game as they did yesterday, Rob? I mean, that game was over so fast.
Yeah.
And then the Lions end up playing overtime against the Giants. Is that an advantage when you have the quickest turnaround of the NFL season playing at noon on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I talked to somebody last week about this whole Thanksgiving thing, and we were just talking about NFL scheduling, and this person said to me that they think the Lions, Cowboys, and whoever hosts the night game should always have to play on the road before Thanksgiving, just to try to even it out a little bit. And obviously the Lions were at home, right, yesterday? So,
Lions were at home. Cowboys were at home.
Cowboys were at home. I don't even know who the night game is. But, yeah, so that obviously is not in play this week. However, it is an interesting point you make. And, how many plays did the Vikings run on offense? Like less than I posted the snap counts earlier. I think it was like 44.
44 offensive plays.
Yeah. So the defense, the Packers defense was not taxed overly, greatly. 65 I think offensive plays for the Packers, but like you said, so much running that your skill position guys didn't take a lot of hits. Obviously they're blocking on run plays all the time. But yeah, I think, and you came out of this game with one, sort of significant concerning injury, and that's Keyshawn Nixon. And, Matt LaFleur said yesterday that, he didn't think it's long term, but this week could be a concern. And I mean, every stinger is different. He had a stinger in the game. Quay Walker had a stinger in the game the previous week and did not play this week. So, I mean, yeah, there's great concern there. I mean, we're one snap away or one injury away from seeing Bo Melton play cornerback, which, quite frankly, we talked so much about it, we might as well see it for a little bit. But I'm sure Packers fans.
Let's put him out there. He's played so many offensive snaps at this point. Yeah. Let's see him play defense.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Packers fans, would rather that not happen, especially against the Lions offense. But no, I do think, that's I don't want to say advantage for the Packers because I don't think there's any advantage to playing on the road on Thanksgiving on a short week, but it can't hurt.
Rob Demovsky hanging out with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy as he does each and every Monday during the season. Okay, we were talking about this very briefly before we got on with you. This idea that if they had to be a run-first team, which Joshy thinks that Matt LaFleur would prefer to be for whatever reason, and a defensive-minded team, is that a recipe for success, particularly in the playoffs? Or do you still need to be able to throw the ball with efficiency and with accuracy?
I think it just depends on who you're playing, Jen. I don't think it's necessarily, this is built for the playoffs or it's not built for the playoffs. It's the matchup, right? Like, what kind of matchup are you getting? If you're playing the Rams and you can get a lead, it's a great recipe because, maybe you take. Well, I guess you don't want them throwing the ball either, but make them play from behind a little bit. Now I think about the Rams, watching them a little bit last night. How do you beat them? But I guess it's if you want to slow the game down, it's a possible recipe for success in a playoff. I do think that it shows, maybe this team can win different ways, which sometimes you have to do in the playoffs. And I thought about this, as Zane Anderson was shoving the guy into the ball and recovering the fumble. Like, it's not just the Packers special teams that screw up all the time. Maybe you make a special teams play and it flips the game your way, and they finally did for a change. So I don't think there's necessarily one way to win in the playoffs. The thing I thought was encouraging, I guess, is that you won without, one of your best offensive players, and that's Josh Jacobs. So, and they're obviously without one of their other best offensive players for the rest of the year with Tucker Kraft. So finding ways to win, I think, is important. I don't know that there's anybody in the NFC that scares you, but I also think that they can lose to just about any of these teams too.
How much growth have you seen out of Christian Watson in the 5 games he's played this year?
Yeah, I mean, 2 things, Gabe. One, like, he's catching the ball really well. And I know he may have been unfairly labeled as a drop guy because he had some problems early, but that was his reputation coming out of college. And, 2, I mean, and just most importantly, is just held up. He's durable. He's held up. He's played every position on the field. He's been in the slot. He's been outside. He's been in motion. So, yeah, I just think, try to find a way to get him the ball a little bit more. Yesterday, obviously, we talked about how their game plan was different, but I do think he's becoming the go-to guy, maybe even a little bit more than Romeo Doubs.
So if you had to do your perfect offense, and we've talked a little bit about Watson this morning and just how the growth you have seen from him as a talent, how would you structure that passing offense? Would you be giving Watson the bulk of the targets? Would it then go to Jaden Reed? Like, how do you want to see it shake out? Because Joshy said last week he's over the Romeo Doubs experiment.
Yeah, I think I would go to Romeo Doubs on third down. If it's 3rd and 6 and you need to run a 7-yard slant, like that, Romeo Doubs is your guy, and I would feed him all the time on that. I would try to get Christian Watson as involved as possible. And then let's see what Jaden Reed can give you when he comes back. I don't think he's going to play this week, but I think next week against Chicago or even Denver possibly at the latest would be the time we see him coming back. And that could be a game changer. I mean, it really could, because we know, I mean, he's their leading receiver the last couple of years. So, it'll be really interesting to see how that happens. But at this point, Christian Watson seems to be the guy.
I know it wasn't intended as such. Were you by Micah Parsons in the locker room when he was talking yesterday? Did you hear what he had to say?
I camped out there, Gabe, and this is one of the strangest things that's ever happened to me in 29 years covering the game. I talked to one person after the game, and it was him. I went over there right away, and there was a huge gathering, and I thought, well, I can't leave now because if I leave, I'm going to lose my spot. And he had to do a rehab treatment thing, and he took the whole locker room. So I talked to one guy. I was front and center. So if I don't remember what he said, then I'm in real trouble. Yeah, so it's a long way of answering your question is yes. And I think I know where you're going. I think I know where you're going with the 10 sack thing. Is that where you're going? So,
yeah, he talked about 10 sacks and how that's the baseline for him. Like, he's excited that he got 10 sacks, but he looks at it as being that's the minimum, and that's like 1,000 yards for him. And him and CeeDee Lamb used to have. I know it's not intended, but it kind of seems like a shot at somebody like Rashawn Garry, who's getting paid a lot of money and has never had a 10-sack season.
Well, and did you see, hopefully you follow him because it's an entertaining follow, his brother Terrence Parsons on Twitter. Someone put up that it's the first time in 6 years that they've had a double-digit sack guy, and he just couldn't believe. He was like, that's crazy. His brother was just and he even used the laughing my off emoji, like making fun of the Packers. And yeah, whether intentional or not, that's making fun of Rashawn Garry. And I mean, the facts are the facts, right? He's never had a 10-sack season. That's just, and they're paying him a lot of money. It goes into the whole thing we talked about on the pregame show with he's never been a high snap guy. Well, he's never been a high sack guy either, apparently.
Seems like a bad combination. Seems like a poor
especially
combination.
one that you're drafted in the first round and paying $20-some million.
Rob, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Your cell phone and stream combination worked out just fine today, so we appreciate you making it work.
We'll try to get this figured out.
Good stuff, Rob. We'll talk to you again soon.
It's always good to see your beautiful face on the stream, bud.
He just hung up on us. I saw him do it on the stream.
Hey guys, it's Jen from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Thanks for watching our clip. I'm sure it was super informative and educational. I'm just kidding. I love those knuckleheads. And we do it live every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get informed anytime we drop new content.